music going to be as they come to the checkered flag? What a race this has been.
Snowmobile racing has been a part of Brennan Boxall's life, almost for as long as he can remember.
I started snowmobiling when I was about 3 years old, I think. My dad was always into it. When I started, he kind of got me into kitty cat drag racing.
Brennan competes in a specific kind of snowmobile racing called ice oval racing. The snowmobiles used for ice oval racing aren't your average backyard snowmobiles though. For one thing, they're designed to go much faster. For example, depending on the track, the fastest racers reach speeds of over 100 miles per hour. They're also designed to only turn to the left. Racers wear helmets but have no roll cage to protect them should they run into trouble on the track. Crashes are frequent, and injuries are common. But all that doesn't stop Brennan. He loves the sport, and he's driven to compete. Some of his biggest accomplishments include placing second in his class at the Ice Oval Racing World Championships in Eagle River, Wisconsin, and placing third at the Canadian Power Toboggan Championships in Beausejour, Manitoba last year. We caught up with Brennan at this year's Canadian Power Toboggan Championship, which brings together racers from across Canada and the US. In its 57th year, the competition is the longest-running snowmobile race in the world. Brennan took time to talk to us about why he races, where his motivation comes from, and a bit about what it's like behind the scenes. He also shares how his dad, who recently lost his battle to cancer, influenced his racing journey.
I'd say what got me hooked, I've just always been in speed. I like speed and adrenaline, and whether it was on motorcycles or I've always kind of ridden motocross bikes, and now I have street bikes and that kind of thing. And I like race cars, and we live in the winter up here for most of the year, so it's just kind of inevitable you try to find something to go fast on in the winter.
Ice oval racing isn't for the faint of heart. It requires nerves of steel.
Pretty much every time you're on the line and you're sitting beside a bunch of guys, and probably the most nerve-wracking part is sitting in the paddock getting ready to go onto the track. You never know what's going to happen. You can come into, especially corner one, right off the hole shot. It's everybody. You're literally all coming into the corner at the same time. And you want to stay safe. Like, all the people you're on there, like on the track with, you're all friends with. So it's just, that doesn't end. You're racing against each other, you're always friends, and you just don't want anything to happen. And it's definitely nerve-wracking, but the butterflies go away more once you get off the track, or onto the track for sure. The track here is actually huge and flat and wide, so the speeds are high.
It's about more than just the racing for Brennan.
Probably the thing I love most about the sport is the people at the track. Like, I could come here and I can have sled issues and my sled not work, and I sit for the weekend and I still have a blast. Just the people that I don't get to see the rest of the year, whether they're from the States or way further out east, it's just such a good time getting to see some of the greatest people that I've ever met around the track.
And dealing with the risk of the sport?
Risk definitely comes hand in hand with the sport. I've seen people end up in wheelchairs from this sport. I've never seen anyone pass away, but it happened way back in the day. You never want to. It's something you try to just kind of put at the back of your mind and not think about first, but it's there. You just have to do it. Any sort of racing you do ends up being risky, whether you're in a car with a roll cage around you or you're on a sled or a bike. It's just risky. You do it because you love it.
Brennan Boxall has been snowmobile racing for most of his life. It's a sport he dearly loves. But when Brennan gets on his snowmobile and races around the track, there's one person that's never far from his mind. That's his dad, Keith. Brennan credits his dad with introducing him to the sport and giving him the support he needed to compete.
Dad was always a snowmobile mechanic, so we had sleds around and never had a shortage of them, that's for sure.
Keith was a passionate snowmobile racer who led the way in establishing ice oval racing in his home province of Saskatchewan. His 3 sons, including Brennan, shared their dad's love of the sport, and traveling to races and competing was an important part of their family life for many years.
Dad was everything for our race organization, for sure. He got us in it, supplied us with the sleds to start off with. Obviously, I was quite a bit younger and I started making laps on one of his Starfires. He's got a 73 Starfire, and I started on that, and then I kind of rode one of his super stock sleds a little bit, and then I built my own sled, but he was at every race.
Sadly, Keith was diagnosed with cancer in 2015. Although the cancer slowed him down, Keith was determined to keep on fighting as long as he could. Brennan recalls watching his dad do one last lap at the track near their home, while he and his brothers followed behind.
When he was sick, the last year that he was sick, actually, he barely had any feeling in his left hand even, and couldn't even really hang on. And our hometown, like our race that's 1.5 miles from the farm, me and my 2 brothers got his RXL going and together and everything, and everybody made a memorial lap with him leading, and me and my 2 brothers were behind him, and we made one lap, and he was going way faster than I wanted him to, for sure. It was pretty terrifying. So, but yeah, that's just him at the track. He kind of didn't really have a slow button, apparently.
Keith lost his battle to cancer in October 2017. Brennan, his 2 brothers, and their mom miss him deeply. Being at the track in Beausejour this weekend without his dad by his side isn't easy for Brennan.
It's awful. It's very, very hard trying to be here without him, and it was definitely hard beginning of last year. I remember I'd sit in the paddock almost before every race with tears in my eyes, and it's not easy.
Brennan has worked hard to stay positive through his grief. He honors Keith's memory at the track in a special way. He races with a decal of his dad on his snowmobile. But that's not all. In his dad's name, he's also giving back to the community.
I made up a bunch of memorial decals that say in memory of Keith Boxall, and I sold quite a few of those and actually donated all the money to a kids sport foundation in Saskatoon. So I ended up donating over $1,300 last year to kids sport. So it's nice seeing all the decals on as many of the sleds as possible. So that's about as much as I can do in memory of him.
With the loss of his dad, Brennan knows he can always turn to his mother, Tammy, for her care and support. Tammy flew into Beausejour this weekend to be with Brennan during this week's races.
Mom supports everything now. Like, she comes to every race she can, and she retired to take care of my dad. She does a lot of traveling, and she comes to every single race she possibly can. She's flying into Winnipeg tonight, and I'll go pick her up, and she'll hang out with me for the weekend, and we'll travel home together. But it's awesome to have her here. Makes me sandwiches and stuff.
While Tammy is committed to supporting Brennan in his racing, as well as his brothers and father before him, it doesn't mean she always finds it easy.
I didn't start watching right away. They would take off and go somewhere, and I usually worked or thought, oh yeah, well, this is boring. The first time I saw them race, I drove about 3.5 hours because I knew they were all there, and I thought if the boys were there and Keith was there, that's what I should be, and I couldn't believe how fast it was. The corners scared me, and then they just got a little more serious. The sleds got a little more faster, and they started driving a little bit further. And it's still, he'll never race where I won't be on pins and needles and totally scared. And he seems to do okay.
So how does a mother cope while watching her son race?
Pacing, sometimes holding my breath. Your muscles are just tight. It's very scary. Once the race is over, then I can finally breathe. But I can't sit and watch. I have to be up, I have to be standing.
It might be nerve-wracking, but Tammy knows that his deep-rooted need for speed is just part of who Brennan is, and that he comes by it honestly.
Keith and the boys are all adrenaline junkies. They are. It didn't matter whether Brennan was doing extreme sports on a snowmobile, on a motorcycle, on a drift car, on a snowmobile. They like going fast, and so did Keith. The first time I ever saw Keith, he was popping wheelies on a snowmobile in a contest. So, I know that's where Brennan got it from. They didn't get it from me. So I think that adrenaline is in their blood, and it'll always be there.
Brennan Boxall is an ice oval snowmobile racer from Saskatchewan, Canada. He recently lost his dad, also an ice oval racer, to cancer. Staying competitive in the sport is hard and takes a lot of time and money. This weekend in Beausejour is especially meaningful for Brennan. It's the last time he'll race professionally.
I've decided this is probably 99% sure this is going to be my last race here. Whether in the future I get put on another sled or I build another one, I don't think I will, but this is my closest race with the competition that I want to be in, and it's 9.5 hours away. So I just live in a bad part of the world to be able to do this. Someday I'm going to be a millionaire and I'll take 2 months off, and if that happens, then I'll keep racing and I'll go live in Wisconsin and race the whole circuit. But as of right now, it's just gotten too tough doing it by myself mainly, and so just financially and time-wise, it's just gotten too hard to do.
Those outside the sport are often unaware of the massive time commitment to racing at the level Brennan does.
Once you're in a big class and like a fast class that I'm in, there's a lot of maintenance involved and testing and just kind of trying to learn how to go faster, and if you can end up on a test track nearby your home, it's definitely better. I haven't even made it to a test track this year. It's 2.5 hours from where I live north, and I haven't been able to even make it to test, so it's a lot of time, and everything else that you have going on in your life, you gotta try to make it work as much as you can. And I just bought a house a 1.5 years ago, and it's just kind of gotten, whether I'm doing something at the house or in the garage or working on my sled from a previous weekend or something, it's just a lot of time it takes for sure.
And his life outside of racing keeps Brennan busy.
When I'm not racing, I'm a welder in a shop in Saskatoon. We build underground mine vehicles, and so that keeps me pretty busy. And then as I learn more and more with welding, I end up taking on more projects in my garage or building stuff for myself. I have a motorcycle in the summer that I've done a lot of modifications to, and I have a car, and it's always just fiddling around with something for sure. And I don't usually slow down very much, so that's how I like it.
Brennan may say he's leaving racing behind, but Tammy isn't convinced.
I'll believe it when I see it. I think he says he's not doing it, but we'll see. We'll see.
Brennan's goals for this weekend are simple.
Mostly I hope I just stay safe. I don't want anything to happen that way. My sled's actually for sale. I just want it to stay in one piece and be able to sell it. And if it gets taken from the track today or this weekend, that's good. If I take it home and sell it from home, that's fine. I want it to be in one piece, and if I can end up on a podium, that's even better for sure. It would be awesome to be up there for the last time, and yeah, it'd be great.
While Brennan didn't manage to sell his snowmobile, he did place 4th in his class. While it's not quite what he wanted from the weekend, he's reminded that winning is just one part of the larger picture. Tammy sums it up well.
I'm proud about everything the boys do. It doesn't have to be racing snowmobiles. I'm proud of their work ethic that they got from their dad. I'm proud of the friendship that they made. I'm proud that they're out there trying to help everybody and just have a good time. And I'm just very proud because they're very nice guys, very nice boys.
And on the ice oval and off, maybe that's what's most important, and the best way Brennan can carry on his dad's legacy: working hard, helping others, and having fun.